are you kids? Did you know your grandpa's trying to get your attention?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things you missed in Rick and Morty Season 6, Episode 2.
I thought you said she doesn't know how to do a Die Hard.
She doesn't.
For this list, we'll be looking at some of the more subtle and not so subtle callbacks and references found in Rick and Morty Season 6, Episode 2. If you haven't had the chance to catch this episode, you may want to find a way to escape, as there will be spoilers. Still thinking about going to Blips and Chitz? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Gungans. There's something oddly familiar about the aliens who take over the Blips and Chitz. Of course, there's the obvious Die Hard plot that follows this group.
It's not every day one meets a fellow Die Hard enthusiast, Miss...
Call me Die Hard.
Okay.
So much so that when Johns questions one of the employees for the location of the safe, they reply they don't have one. He is unfazed.
Correction. What you don't have is a head. Is this a weapon or a medical tool? Why would you give me a gun with a laser that thin?
The actual look of these aliens is really close to that of Star Wars fan favorite Jar Jar Binks. You may think that's a stretch, but when Summer reveals that she killed Frank, Winslow reacts by making a sound just like the Gungan leader Boss Nass.
Because they killed him, and it wasn't difficult.
Calm yourself, Winslow. Winslow!
If there's one mashup we didn't expect to see, it's Star Wars with Die Hard.
Lisa, being friends.
Number 9. Raiders of the Lost Ark ending. As the Roy game is put into storage in a vast warehouse with many other objects, the worker transporting the game asks if someone will be able to retrieve the game at a later time.
Hey, is anybody that wants this later gonna be able to...
Huh? Oh yeah, everything's cataloged and tracked.
He's assured that everything has been digitally cataloged and will in fact be easy to find.
People got the wrong idea from the size of the space, but it's all supported digitally.
If this scenario seems familiar, that's because this is a spoof on the ending of Raiders of the Lost Ark, when said Ark is stored in a warehouse at the end of the movie. Of course, there might be some difficulty in relocating the Ark, since it's in a crate virtually indistinguishable from others. Number 8. No Beth and Jerry. With all the action surrounding Rick's efforts to rescue Morty from Roy a life well lived, and Summer trying her best to do a Die Hard, it can be easy to overlook that Beth and Jerry don't appear in the episode.
Sneak around, crawl in some vents, do a Die Hard.
The closest we get to them even being mentioned is when Marta Morty convinces Kevin the Marine that he's also Morty, saying that they miss their family.
And we miss our family, and we're in way over our heads again.
This isn't the first time the characters haven't been featured in an episode, but we're so used to seeing at least one of Morty's parents that neither of them showing up is a bit surprising.
Man, the part of me that's my father is a
That's also gonna be funny when we get back.
Number 7. The Frogger. Once the main conflict has been resolved, Rick comments how every piece of Morty has been removed from the game.
Is he alright?
Oh yeah, he's fine. Got them all out. Every last piece.
We then find out that the game cabinet has been hooked up to an external battery to keep the game running.
Some rich douche wants his last game to keep running. Hooked it up to an external battery, we're just supposed to store it.
Weird.
This bears quite the resemblance to the Seinfeld episode The Frogger, where George wants to preserve his Frogger high score and has the arcade game hooked up to a battery to transport it.
Idiots, you're gonna wear down the battery!
Well, the batteries are fine. We've got, oh God, only 3 minutes left.
All right, quick, get this thing back in the pizzeria!
George, they closed up.
I need an outlet!
The difference here is that the Roy game is keeping Marta Morty alive as part of her deal with Rick to convince the other in-game Mortys to leave with him.
All of Morty will leave with you to the real world to be your grandson. May we help Summer do her Die Hard.
I gotta say, I was not expecting that. Why the change of heart?
My people are staying only out of loyalty to me. I'm a relic. I don't represent them anymore.
Number 6. Die Hard 3. In this post-credits scene, we see one of the aliens standing in the cold with a sandwich board that reads, "I hate everybody."
Why isn't anyone attacking him?
The two aliens responsible for this happening wonder why there's no reaction, but determine that they made their sign too broad in terms of offensiveness.
But I think we went too broad. Everybody? I mean, who is that offending?
Everybody?
This mirrors a scene in Die Hard with a Vengeance when John McClane is put into a similar predicament where he's made to stand on a Harlem Street corner with a sandwich board with way more offensive messaging written on it.
You got about 10 seconds before those guys see you. When they do, they will kill you, you understand? You are about to have a very bad day. Tell me about it.
Just like this scene, it was perpetrated by the brother of the original villain.
I wish my brother was still alive.
Number 5. Roy, More Than Just a Game. This episode isn't our first introduction to Blips and Chitz, nor the game Roy, A Life Well Lived.
55 years. Not bad, Morty. You kind of wasted your 30s, though, with that whole bird-watching phase.
Where's my wife?
Morty, you were just playing a game. It's called Roy. Snap out of it. Come on.
Back in the episode Morty Night Run, we watch both Rick and Morty live virtually as Roy. What's interesting to note here is that in Die Hard, when John McClane first speaks with Al Powell, he gives his name as Roy.
So what do I call you?
Call me Roy.
Earlier, Hans Gruber remarks that McClane has seen too many movies and compares him to the likes of John Wayne, Rambo, and Marshall Dillon. McClane replies that he was always partial to Roy Rogers, which he then follows with his take on Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippee-ki-yay.
Number 4. Ode to Joy. When the unconscious Rick and Morty are found by Johns, the leader of the alien terrorists, one of his henchmen has a boombox playing Ode to Joy from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. He turns to him saying it's too much.
Too much. It's too much.
Oh, sorry.
This piece of music was used throughout Die Hard, mainly as a way to underscore the villains. Director John McTiernan was inspired to use this classical piece after seeing it in Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange.
You needn't take it any further, son!
Die Hard film composer Michael Kamen also incorporated Singin' in the Rain and Winter Wonderland into the film's score as a way to highlight Hans Gruber and his gang's use of violence. Number 3. Rick's Missed References. Rick has a hard time with pop culture references landing in this episode. When Summer informs him that aliens have taken over the Blips and Chitz, he tells her to take care of it by doing a Die Hard.
It's a small group of alien terrorists. Just do a Die Hard.
What does that mean?
Sneak around, use air vents. You've never seen Die Hard?
This goes over Summer's head as she's never seen it. Later on, Marta Morty is concerned that Rick is willing to lose 8% of Morty's consciousness. Rick counters, saying it's no big loss as 8% of the Snyder Cut was Batman dreaming.
And 8% of anything is expendable. 8% of pizza is crust. 8% of the Snyder Cut was Batman dreaming.
I don't know what that reference is. We're in a video game.
This reference also goes over Marta's head. Back in Season 4, Rick became irate when his Beverly Hillbillies joke didn't land, but he did just learn that Tony died, which might explain his temperament.
Oh, no, you don't want to eat that. You'll become the opening of the Beverly Hillbillies. You know what I'm saying? Little bubbling crude, Texas tea.
I don't know these references.
Yeah, but you have a Space Everest. Watch Space Beverly Hillbillies so my jokes can land.
Number 2. It's not a religious thing. As Rick tries to convince the NPCs of the Roy game that they are in fact the fractured mind of Morty, many are convinced it's a religion or a cult of some kind.
You guys keep thinking I'm a religious leader. This isn't a religion. This is actual truth.
To be honest, we can understand why many of the game's characters would draw that kind of comparison. By Rick's own admission, he has a message from a world beyond what they know, and he needs to spread that message.
I do have a message from a world beyond this one, and I do need the entire world to hear my message. What I do not need is any more songs about it.
The cult-like imagery doesn't stop there, as many of the characters dress like Morty and style their hair like his. The in-game president even likens Roy to a pope.
You're like kind of a pope, I reckon. I'm not a pope because it's not a religion. We're literally in a video game.
It's similar to Brian in Monty Python's Life of Brian, whose mundane words and actions are taken as religious doctrine.
I'm not the Messiah. Will you please listen? I am not the Messiah. Do you understand? Honestly.
Only the true Messiah denies his divinity.
What? Well, what sort of chance does that give me?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Morty's limited knowledge. Even though Morty's consciousness is present in all NPCs, they also carry Morty's limited knowledge of the world. This leads to some pretty funny situations, as many aren't immediately aware they're in a game.
You're not gonna hurt me. You're me. My name is Kevin. I'm a Marine. I'm 30. I'm a little racist, but my best friend is an immigrant that translated for me in a generic overseas war. That's not true.
When Marta's father is outraged that she would turn her back on her Jewish heritage, he struggles to name any defining characteristics of the Jewish faith, resorting to gibberish.
Tell me anything specific about being Jewish. There's a million things. You go to the temple with the special hat, the falafel flutin. Oh, the falafel flutin? Our Jewish words are gibberish because we're a 14-year-old boy who was raised non-denominational Christian and we're in a video game.
Later in the episode, during a news broadcast, reporter Tony reveals that a majority of the NPCs have taken up pleasuring themselves and video games, and Roy has a secret base somewhere, but he couldn't find it.
Some say Grandsonism's leader, Roy, has a secret base somewhere in these mountains. I couldn't find it, so I'm standing in the general area with a microphone. For Good Enough News, I'm Tony.
His lack of in-depth reporting is a perfect fit for Good Enough News. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.